Joined by the Shadow Paymaster General, Richard Holden. Richard is not remotely happy about this. In fact, you wrote a stinging letter to Downing Street yesterday on this, Richard Holden. And I just want to ask you the same question a lot of people today are asking. You know, Sir Keir Starmer was on his high horse about any moral indiscretion during lockdowns, over freebies, over donations with the Conservative Party. And once again, no rules are broken.
No, well, it's again, he's stuck between the tiers here, is Keir, because obviously there's this level 3 versus level 4, and we know that there was illegal to travel between those areas during lockdown. And Starmer was one of those people who was vociferously trying to pursue everybody for anything. And he also said there should be no statute of limitations on COVID related issues as well, which I think is going to be quite sticky for him the more we see from this, because the more that is revealed, the deeper he seems to be in it. And I cannot understand, Martin, how on earth anybody could classify a voice coach, an actress, or somebody teaching you acting as a key worker, when any form of student doing an acting course or anything like that themselves would not be actually at university at that time in those tier areas. It just seems to me that it's one rule for him, one rule for the Labour Party, and another rule for everybody else right across the country when it comes to this. And it's only now that this has been come out. They've never been clear about it, never been upfront about it. Yet it was very clear at the time that on the 24th of December 2020, that there's tier 3 in Brighton and Hove area, tier 4 in London. And it looks from all the evidence we're now seeing from social media from the time that people were travelling between those areas.
You know, you're absolutely right to point out the list of key workers. I've got a list here. Doctors, nurses, teachers, social workers, those in the justice system, those who work in religious areas, national and local government workers, those in food production, public service workers such as police, armed forces, firefighters. There's no vocal coaches on this. Do they think we're ridiculous or what?
Well, quite. Look, my mum was working as a ward clerk in a community hospital where people had COVID during the pandemic, and you know, she was a key worker. If somebody had told me that actresses and voice coaches were key workers, I would have found that laughable at the time. I'm sure Keir Starmer would have found it laughable at the time. Yet now this is what they're relying on for their defence. It seems to me this story's got a long way to run, and there are some really serious answers for Keir Starmer. You could see, Martin, just how uncomfortable he was in Brussels yesterday, you know, trying to sideswipe those questions from journalists. I think from Jack Elsom at The Sun, who's been quite a bit on this. You know, there are really serious questions to be answered here, because Keir, as you say, he seems to have been a bit Teflon. You know, whatever seems to stick to others doesn't seem to stick to him. Well, you know, I think it's about time that the Prime Minister calls for an investigation, just like he called for an investigation into Boris Johnson, who, you know, by Sue Gray.